It's the worst of the CBC for October 12th, 2019, the show where I watch the CBC so you don't have to. All right, I'm just going to be straight up with it. Today's episode was actually pretty good. I'll just tell you up front. This is going to get a 2 out of 10 on the Rosemary Barden scale. Now, there are a couple of factors that relate to good reporting here that I think we should cover. So, one, they did cover the China versus the NBA story and did it quite well. I'm glad they did cover that. I do think it's important. The other big news today, again, it's a Saturday, so it's not the full 1 hour news cycle. They got some election stuff going on, so they're just covering candidates talk. But the big story they are covering is Turkey's invasion of northern Syria and the bombing of Kurds. Now, I actually thought what they did. Now, there's a couple reasons why it was good. Probably because Natasha Fatah was the anchor today, so that might have something to do with this rating. But it's very interesting to see. Finally, we're talking about Kurdish independence on the national news media. It was ignored for, since for almost 30 years. The mainstream media has totally ignored Kurdish national aspirations and Kurdish nationalism. But now it's actually at the forefront. And it's because the CBC and I guess the mainstream media is caught between two rocks here, because it's Turkey and the Kurds. And do they support the Muslim Brotherhood, which is Turkey? They love the Muslim Brotherhood, which will destroy them. Or do they go with Trump bad, Trump bad, Trump bad? And these are the two big favorites of the mainstream media. Muslim Brotherhood good, Trump bad. But now these are coming into conflict because the world is a lot more complicated than Orange Man bad or Muslims good. More Muslim Brotherhood specifically. So because Turkey is an Islamist state under Erdogan, they've very rarely criticized it until they invaded northern Syria because the withdrawal of American troops allowed them to do so. So that seems to be a geopolitical mistake by Trump. So what seems to be the motive here? It seems to be that hammering Trump on geopolitical mistakes potentially is a bigger drive for the mainstream media than going after the Muslim Brotherhood, which maybe in the grand scheme of things shows some hope left for the media, that it's not completely bought off by Qatar and Turkey and Iran, that there is some sort of Canadian values. And what by being Canadian values, I mean far left Canadian unhinged anti-Americanism. So at least Canada's in control of the CBC to some extent. So I found that very interesting. I mean, the reporting was actually quite good. Again, it was Natasha Fatah, so that might have something to do with it, but they did interview journalists on the ground. They seemed to ask for numbers, population makeups. They didn't spin a lot of things. They were just kind of, they didn't make any sort of highly declarative statements. So all in all, now the biggest omission of the day, and this is why the CBC should still be defunded, and the CBC is suing the Conservative Party over a completely spurious and ridiculous claim. The Conservatives made a commercial, a campaign clip where they used footage from CBC, which is the debate. They use footage of the debate in one of their ads. So this is completely free. One, CBC is taxpayer funded, so the taxpayers should be able to use this. This is completely ridiculous. Can you imagine a network suing a political party over using footage of a debate? Like, how is CBC, no, honestly, how is CBC allowed to host national debates if we're not allowed to use footage of the national debates to talk about the election? And again, this goes with all my pet peeves of why are there so few debates? Why is it all so close to election time? Right? The Canadian election is way too short a time period. I don't like these it's just this stupid left wing anti-Americanism. Oh, America's election's too long, so we have to make ours as short as possible. I hate all this, but clearly this falls under fair use. I mean, the CBC at least wrote an article about it. It was biased to say the least. Michael Geis, a law professor at the University of Ottawa, said the Conservative Party has a strong case for arguing fair detailing these materials. And he says the CBC's claim is based on an odd collection of unconvincing arguments, including the notion that clips from the debate might lead someone to think that the CBC is biased, contrary to its obligations under the Broadcasting Act. I think that's hilarious. Yes, the CBC is afraid that people will think that they're biased in favor of the Conservative Party, which is why they're suing the Conservative Party. Because the CBC isn't biased. No, the CBC isn't biased. Just look at all the political opinions of those debate moderators. Oh my God. Is anyone actually going to believe the CBC is biased in favor of the Conservatives? What a stupid argument. But it shows the fact that the CBC, which is the public broadcasting channel supposed to give us news and help inform Canadians, is specifically obstructing Canadians from getting information pertinent to the election. They are not letting the political parties make, if there's clips of Justin Trudeau being an idiot at debates, it's fair use to use those clips. There are really no words to describe how anti-Western and anti-free speech CBC is being there. So that's a full omission. And again, I guess I could give the CBC higher on the Rosemary Barden scale because of this story. I'm still going to give it a 2 out of 10 because I actually thought it was pretty good today, and I want to be a bit fair. They're good in what they covered. I mean, they can't cover everything or all the important things because they are the CBC still. So just it's not. I haven't turned the corner on the CBC. I'm saying, for an hour over the last 4 months or so, they've been good. But they are still ignoring a big major story, which is the CBC is obstructing the election. And they should be defunded. So deport the CBC and send them all, except Natasha Fata, to North Korea. All right, that's it for today, CBC. I will hit you up tomorrow.